Hello, I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today I've got another perfume haul. I've been buying quite a lot of perfumes recently. Hopefully I'll slow down at some point. Two of these were blind buys, but I'd seen them talked about on YouTube, and then another one I was just in store and it just attracted me and I just ended up buying it. So let me just talk you through them and tell you what I think of them. So the first one is quite a notorious one on YouTube recently. This one has really done the rounds. I think that it's been super hyped and I was just super curious. So I think the first person to talk about this was probably Joyce's Perfume Life. I've also seen Happiness Sparkles talk about this one, and also I think Smurfy Girly has also done a review of this one. And 50 Cents UK has also purchased this one. So you probably all know what I'm talking about, but it's this one. So this is Want by Dsquared. So Dsquared might be more recognisable to you from their wood line of fragrances that are a little bit more easy to come by. This one I had never ever heard of until I saw people sort of raving about this one. I think it's now discontinued. It was super cheap. I think 30ml was something like £13 on a site that I saw it on. But I don't know how much it is right now, but I think, you know, the smaller sizes are disappearing. So if you do want to try it, then I would advise buying it sooner rather than later, because I really feel like because of the hype, this one might start to disappear. But yeah, so I was curious about this because I've been looking for a really nice vanilla, and the Kayali Vanilla 28 had just been always out of stock when I looked. And in the end, I just thought, do you know what, I'm just going to get this one and see how I go. And maybe this will scratch that itch of the vanilla fragrance. And yeah, it's not really what I imagined from the reviews of this, actually. From watching other people talk about this fragrance, I thought it was just going to be, you know, a very straight vanilla with not much else going on. And it really isn't. It's very much a floral vanilla, and I think those two floral notes in this, the heliotrope and the rose, are really the ones that come through. And to me, it's mainly the heliotrope in this that comes through. I think that's what's making me feel a kind of a nutty smell in this. I think that might be some impression of the heliotrope. Maybe I just don't really know what heliotrope smells like and it comes off to me as something nutty. Or maybe it's the combination with the vanilla that makes it feel nutty. I also smell maybe even a light cherry in this, and I know cherry's not listed. It smells like a really fresh, off the tree kind of cherry, not a sickly sweet kind of cherry at all. I also do smell the rose in this. I don't smell the top notes that are listed, which are ginger, pink pepper and mandarin orange. I don't smell that at all. What I do get with this fragrance, which I found quite unusual when I first spray it, is I get kind of almost carbonated feeling from this fragrance. It smells very much like a whitening toothpaste, but without the mint flavouring. So that kind of gritty feeling from the bicarb in the toothpaste. I know that's really odd as well. I think this fragrance is just really interesting. Like, I was really expecting a very one-dimensional vanilla scent. The vanilla in this smells very expensive. It doesn't smell like a cheap vanillin. It doesn't smell like a, you know, when you're baking, for example, when you buy a vanilla essence instead of a vanilla extract, it doesn't smell like that at all. It smells much more like a vanilla pod, or maybe even a vanilla flower. It smells very much more natural, very much more rich, but not sweet, I think is what I'm trying to say. I think, yeah, it's just very well balanced. I think those floral notes really make it a very well balanced fragrance. And I have been really enjoying it. I only got a 30ml. I'm not regretting that at all. I'm happy with 30ml. I think that, you know, I will use it up and I will enjoy it, and then I will move on to something else, and that's fair enough. The fragrance inside on Fragrantica is actually like really lightly coloured, but in reality it's kind of this purpley red kind of colour, and I really like the colour of the fragrance. I don't really like the bottle, but I admit it's very weighty. It feels very good quality, even if I don't like the design of it. I do like the actual bottle, I just don't like the lid. As with so many bottles that I dislike, it's usually the lid that's the issue. So I got pretty decent longevity out of this. It was maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. It wasn't quite the whole day, but it was a significant proportion of the day. I did think this projected. People did comment on this fragrance, so people can definitely smell it. So yeah, if you don't want a one-dimensional vanilla scent, if you like some floral notes with your vanillas, if you don't want something too sweet, this might be the vanilla for you. So that's Want by Dsquared. So the second fragrance that I've bought was actually a really totally unplanned, totally opportunistic buy. You really shouldn't buy fragrances like I do. It's not a good idea. You should look at things, you should plan them, you should work out which ones you want, and then you should go and buy them. You shouldn't just buy the ones you see. But yeah, I'd heard loads of people talk about this fragrance on YouTube, and my interest had been piqued. People were saying that it smelled like fairy soaps, like that it would make you smell enchanted, that it was a really classic vintage fragrance but also had a modern vibe. And yeah, my interest was piqued. I was going for it. So I saw this one in a shop and I just bought it. So this is Guerlain Insolence, or Insolence if you want to be more British about it. So I got the 50ml Eau de Parfum, and this was actually a bargain at £30. I could not believe my eyes. So that was the opportunity that I really wanted. It came in this beautiful kind of purple, rich box, very much, you know, reflecting the violets in this. And the bottle is one of these beautiful frosted bee bottles. And I think the reason that it was cheaper was because I've heard that they're going to change the bottle design for Insolence. So they're going to put it in the more traditional kind of Guerlain inverted heart bottles is what I've heard, but I don't know whether that's true. So anyway, I'm really happy that I've got the old style bottle, or the newer older style bottle, because I think it was in another bottle before this one, wasn't it? And was formulated slightly differently. So I think this is a 2017 formulation from what I've read. So this fragrance is famous for having lots of violets in it, and yeah, that's what I got. An overdose of violets. I thought that actually this was again less one-dimensional than I was expecting. I was expecting something that was just quite linear and quite floral. I find this fragrance quite nostalgic. I think about my mum using Camay soaps when I was little. It really smells like the pink Camay soap to me. On my skin, this smells quite powdery. I really get the iris note in this on my skin, but when I smell it further away, it smells more like violets and it smells more fruity. I think that's really what you get. You get those wafts of the fruity violet smell when you're wearing this. It's really, yeah, it's dazzling. It's really pretty. I can see why some people wouldn't like this, because it does have that kind of almost vintage vibe, but it also does feel really young and youthful and joyful as well. It's a really happy fragrance. I can definitely see that if you were sensitive to headaches, this one would be triggering. I think you would have to be very, very careful about where you sprayed it and how much you sprayed if you are sensitive. I think even though this fragrance is a floral fruity, I think that it would really smell amazing in the winter. I think in frosty weather, this would be very, very piercing. It would just be amazing, I think. So I'd really like to try it in the winter. But yeah, for the moment, in this rainy British weather of the spring, it smells great as well. I really like this. I would probably never have tried it if it wasn't £30, I'll be honest. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really pleasantly surprised by this fragrance. I watch so many people review this and say, oh, I'm really not sure, or declutter it after having it only a little bit of time. But I don't think that's going to be the case with me. I am actually really loving this one. So if you haven't tried it, go to a Guerlain counter and check it out. Also, does anyone know why it's called Insolence? Is it, I mean, I'm guessing, but is it because that the violet is kind of known as a very chaste, very virginal kind of flower, and Guerlain are taking this kind of note and amping it up to the max and making it over the top? Is that why it's called Insolence? Because insolence means rude and disrespectful behaviour. So a Guerlain saying they're being rude and disrespectful to the violet flower, I don't really understand. Or are you meant to be rude and disrespectful when you're wearing this fragrance? I'm not sure. So yeah, Guerlain Insolence, check it out. So the final fragrance actually scratches two itches for me, because I've been looking for a fragrance from the Aqua Allegoria range for quite some time. I remember my interest being piqued in that by Sophie London when she did a review about a year ago on those. She went through pretty much the whole range. And also I've been looking for a coconut scent to add to my collection. I don't really have a really good coconut scent, and I just wanted something quite fresh, not overly sweet, and quite summer appropriate. So I went for this one in the end, and this is Coconut Fizz by the Aqua Allegoria range. I was in store and I saw a really good offer on the Aqua Allegoria range. They were all half price, and I asked the shop assistant to just spray a couple of these fragrances for me, and she went nuts. She was going so fast spraying them all, and I just couldn't keep up. And you know when nothing really stands out because you know you've oversampled fragrance? She was spraying maybe, I don't know, 12 fragrances all at the same time and then handing them to me, but also not telling me individually which of these fragrances was which. So really I had no clue what any of them were, apart from the coconut fizz, because that's one that stood out because it had that coconut note in it and it's very distinctive. She sprayed this one on me and then I went home because I know that this line is notorious for not lasting very well on skin. But I actually had no problems. It lasted maybe 4 or 5 hours. And the projection is actually really good from this fragrance as well. But yeah, this fragrance has coconut water and also bergamot. So it's very fresh feeling, something you would want to wear on a summer's day. It also has a water fruit note. I don't know what water fruit is. Is water fruit made up? Please tell me, because I've been Googling water fruit and I'm sure it doesn't exist. I think it's a fantasy note just saying that it's a watery, fruity note. It also has freesia in this. I definitely smell the freesia. In the dry down of this, there's supposed to be tonka and sandalwood, and I think I get both of those because it does smell a little bit spicy in the dry down, but it also smells very creamy. I think that this is a really refreshing scent. The idea of the Aqua Allegoria range is that it's meant to be a cologne feeling kind of fragrance, but with the lasting power of a perfume. And I don't think that most of the Aqua Allegoria range are notorious for their lasting power, but I think Coconut Fizz is probably one of the better perfumes from this range for lasting. When I was sampling these, I did have it sprayed on me and then leave the shop and go home and think about it, because I didn't want to rush into buying something that only lasted an hour or so. And I would really recommend doing that if you're going to purchase from this line, because I've seen a lot of reviews saying this just doesn't last. And there's nothing more disappointing than really wanting a fragrance to last all day and it lasts an hour, especially when they're quite pricey. I mean, these aren't that expensive in the grand scheme of fragrance, but they're not cheap fragrances. So yeah, I saw this on a deal in the shop I went into. I think they pretty much all sold out as soon as I'd bought this. I did go back in a week later just to have a look out of curiosity, and they literally had 3 boxes on the counter after they'd had maybe, I don't know, 40, 45. So they clearly sold a lot of fragrances. Would I buy it at full price? I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't pay that much money for it, but at half price, I was very happy to pay that. I think these only come in 75ml and 125ml bottles. I was also looking at La Nuit Trésor Nude fragrance. I did like that one in the opening, but I found the dry down quite heavy, and I didn't think it was that suitable for the summer, although the lasting power on that fragrance is astronomical. If you are looking for a long-lasting, very gourmand smelling coconut fragrance, then definitely go for the Nuit Trésor Nude. But yeah, I'm very happy with this one. This is exactly what I was looking for. Totally different to every other coconut fragrance that I've ever smelt, and I'm really pleased with my purchase. So that's Aqua Allegoria Coconut Fizz. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, then please press the like button and please consider subscribing, because I do lots of videos on perfumes, and I would really like to have a chat with you in the comments. Have you tried any of these fragrances? Do you love any of these fragrances? Do you think that I should buy any others from the Aqua Allegoria range? Which are your favourites? So please let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!